customer service, cleanliness, and culture. And those are our 3 C's that we stand by. People forget before CrossFit, before yoga, before Lululemon, before Orange Theory, before Barry's Boot Camp, like you used to go to the gym to take the yoga class.
What's working here? What is somebody listening to this podcast? What are they stealing from you that you're doing right? And then you got 1,400 members paying you over $200 a month. Hello and welcome to Gym World Worldwide. I am your host, John Franklin, and joined with me for the first time in probably 2 months is my co-host, now back in Florida, Mateo Lopez. Good to see you, buddy.
It's great to be here. Thanks, John.
Great to be back too. Yeah. And we have a very special guest for you today. When we asked friend of the pod, Dane McCarthy, who is the person he looks up to, who's the guy who's doing big things, who's under the radar that everyone in the gym world should know about, he told us about Joey Welling running a little, well, not really little. It's actually quite large gym called Ethos Athletic Club. And we brought him on the show today to teach you all his secrets and what he's got going on because it's pretty cool. So welcome. And how you doing?
Thank you, guys. Nice to meet you, John. Mateo, thank you for the opportunity. Excited.
Yeah. So tell us about your gym. What do you got going on, man?
Tell us where the name comes from. Why Ethos? And then why Athletic Club? Why not just Ethos Gym?
Great question. So this is my 20th year now working in the gym business. I just hit 38 and I've been working since I was 18, folding towels and mopping floors in all different gyms from Atlanta to New York to Nashville. I was born and raised here in Charleston. I 50% co-owned a gym here in town. About 5 years ago, it ended 4 or 5 years ago now. And it was a small 6,000 square foot facility that was like an old school bodybuilding gym. I wanted to bring the original owner, the founder. He gave me an opportunity to buy in for 50%. He had been around for 8 years at that point. And he allowed me the opportunity to buy in. It was called Exemplar Fitness. And so we added more functional space. We added a class because I love teaching high intensity classes. Had turf and squat racks. But once again, it was a 6,000 square foot space. We started adding more personal trainers. And I always said, it's like this team has great culture and great energy. And we got through COVID and the pandemic, but our lease was ending in February of 21. And he wanted to go off and do his own thing. And I wanted to do my own thing. And I wanted to do something bigger and better and bring all the trainers with me and bring it to more of a center part of Charleston, downtown. And showcase them. But one of my favorite books that I've ever read is Onward by Howard Schultz, the guy who created Starbucks. And in the book, he used the term ethos. And this was back when I was owning that gym. I was like, man, if I ever create another gym, that would be such a cool name for a gym. And I didn't even know what the word meant. I just knew it was Greek. And I look it up and it basically means, this team that team has a great ethos, great culture, great energy. And I was like, man, that describes our team. And lo and behold, a couple years later, we were breaking up the gym and the lease was ending. And I'm like, let's go off and do our own thing. And I was like, let's call it Ethos. And then to get into your second half of your question, why Athletic Club? I'm 38, but I love the old school. People forget before CrossFit, before yoga, before Lululemon, before Orange Theory, before Barry's Boot Camp, like you used to go to the gym to take the yoga class. And I always loved like the YMCA, like athletic club feel where you can do everything all in once. I just wanted to keep that classic feel to it. And Ethos, when you walk in there, you'll see it. It's an 80-year-old Charleston building with these beautiful wood ceilings that they just don't build these warehouses anymore. And it has that vibe. Like we wanted to create something that was gritty on the gym floor, really nice, like cardio equipment, techno gym and all that good stuff. But it still felt a little gritty and rustic. But when you go into the bathrooms, it's more high end. It has that more Equinox type feel. But yeah, that's where all the name and everything came from.
Yeah, it definitely has that nice balance where like on the training floor, it's clean, but you're there to work. But then you also have, as you said, like, you got the nice bathrooms, you got the sauna outdoors, you got the clean yoga vibe. Like it's a really cool mix of both from what I've seen online.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks like the yoga room
visit.
Smells good, Looks like it.
Yeah,
but it is a big jump. Like, so this was the old place right here. We pulled it. We found the right one.
Yeah, Exemplar Fitness. I didn't even know it still exists on Instagram. There you go.
Yeah, you still got a page here. So this looks like, it looks like your average run-of-the-mill training gym just from the photos, big box space. You don't even have the rubber-coated dumbbells.
No, man, it was
nothing particularly luxurious. But then you look at Ethos, and it looks like you dropped a big chunk of change building this thing out. So how'd you get the doors open on this thing? This looked like a big undertaking.
Yeah, it's 21,000 square feet. So the original gym was 6,000. So it's almost 4 times as big. One thing I lucked up on, let's start from the beginning. I went through 16 different buildings, and I originally wanted it to be 10, 12,000 square feet. I kept delaying this building actually because it was so massive. It was 20. I was like, that's too big. I don't want it. Then I walked in the space and I'm walking through it and I'm like, man, this place is beautiful. I mean, there wasn't one toilet. There wasn't one sink. There's 0 running water, no AC. And it was in a part of town that was slowly developing, gentrifying. And I knew that because I've lived here my entire life. So I could see it. To be honest with you, the price per square foot was like $15-16 per square foot, which was actually $12 cheaper than what I was paying on James Island for that 6,000 square foot facility. And the reason it was so cheap is because it literally was a warehouse, no water, no AC. So we had to provide all that stuff. But still, it was a very low base rent. Probably was $1.5 million, give or take a couple $100,000 there. But I was able to get a loan from the bank because I made the other gym pretty successful. That gym, to me, that was the harder story, rebranding that gym than creating a new gym. But that gym had 134 members when I first started. And then 3.5 years later, right before COVID, it had 715. And then that we made it through COVID. And because of that, the bank was willing to give me a loan for this. I also sold my house, was able to get some personal equity out of that, including my savings. And then I have one small 8% investor, silent investor, who gave about $150,000. And, we pieced it together. And it was, to be honest with you, we only had enough money. We didn't have enough money to open doors with air conditioning, which was another $300,000. So we opened without air conditioning. Luckily, we opened in November in Charleston, which is beautiful weather. We installed all these garage doors, and we also have the big ass fans. So it just created enough circulation. And luckily, we built enough hype, and people were pouring through the doors those first few months that we were able to turn a profit. And by the time spring came around, we were able to afford that air conditioning before summer hit. So yeah, that's some ways that we pieced it together.
There's that big ass fan right there. So yeah, 1.5. So you said you were doing 7, at the peak, the other location was around 750 members. Your model is like access, but also some classes, right? So what type of price point were those people paying?
Are you talking about at Ethos or the old gym?
Exemplar. Yeah.
Pretty much the same model, just a bigger facility. So we have an open gym membership where you can come work out on your own, do whatever you want. That includes personal training if you want to work with a personal trainer. Then we have a platinum package, which is you come anytime you want, access to the gym, but you also get 8 classes a month. And that is either yoga, Pilates, our high intensity class, our sauna, and what we call the deep end, which is our plunge and sauna class. And then there's the VIP package, which gets you unlimited access to the gym anytime you want and as many classes as you want.
So you were doing 700 members, and the average ticket at that gym, the first gym was in that $200 to $300 range.
Not at that price point. No. Back then, the price point was more like our most expensive was like 225, and then everything else was like in that 125 to 175. Now our average price point's around like 205.
I mean, that's still pretty 700 plus members out of a 6,000 square foot warehouse at over 150. That's nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, that's I'm telling you, that story was wild. Ethos is cool and new and all that stuff, but recreating a brand, in my opinion, is harder than creating a new brand almost.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up. People are going to see Ethos and be like, okay, I get it. You know, it's such a unique thing. It looks amazing. Like, I understand why people want to pay so much to go here, and they'll look at the numbers and maybe be blown away. But it sounds like you were making it work without the fancy space. So
yeah, tell me a little bit of how you went from 300 to 700 over at Exemplar.
He said 130 is when he started.
130.
Right?
Yeah, 130. 130 to 700. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty not simple, but my business partner then, I was at that point probably 30 years old, 31. He was about 50, 55, and he was an old school bodybuilder. He actually had this beautiful facility. I mean, he was meticulous with it being clean. It was only 3,000 square feet. And at that point, but I mean, everything was meticulously clean. He had old equipment and stuff, but he just kept it up. It was actually very beautiful. He just did not understand like marketing. He didn't even know what an Instagram was or Facebook. It didn't have that. So we kept the name Exemplar Fitness, and we just gave it a new look, like redesigned the look of the name. And then we gave it an Instagram. We gave it a Facebook. We took my money that I invested. It was about 50 grand. And we rented out another 3,000 square feet next to it. And we put in 3 beautiful hammer strength squat racks. We put in about 30 yards of turf. We had a 1,000 square foot classroom because I wanted to create my own like high intensity classroom. We call Rush, and we still call it Rush at Ethos. Yeah. So he just didn't know how to market it and get it out there. And I just kept telling him, like, man, you got something pretty special here in this cool little part of town that I think people will join the membership. And he didn't understand that because he did all personal training, just kept putting his own personal money into the gym to help pay the utilities. I'm like, dude, I think you got some awesome facilities where people will come work out on their own and start helping you pay the bills here.
So I guess what is your approach then to marketing? Because I've heard on other podcasts, like you really haven't spent much money on ads. So I know back then it was like literally just having an online presence helped. It sounds like literally just like adding an Instagram and refreshing the logo. But how else do you attract people? I guess, how did you attract them back then? And then what lessons did you apply to this new space to get to, now you have over 1,000 members?
Nothing against paying for ads or marketing. We tested that a little at Exemplar, but then the cool thing about Charleston, it's a growing town, but it's still a small town compared to like Charlotte, Atlanta, New York, Atlanta. Yeah, I said Atlanta. But anyway, it's very word of mouth. A lot of people talk. A lot of people know each other. I just pounded every single class that I taught. I'm taking a video of it. And and to this day, I do it. And I just pounded it that way. We guerrilla marketing, old school, we got stickers everywhere. I remember starting Ethos. We'd illegally put signs like Ethos is coming on the street corner. And the city they'd come knocking on our door like, dude, you can't just put signs up anywhere you want in any neighborhood. And then the great thing about Ethos, which wasn't a great thing in the moment, is we kept getting delayed and delayed. We were supposed to open in May, and we didn't open until November, just because the build out took so long. But actually,
in 2021, that is
correct. Yeah, we signed the lease, we signed the lease Halloween of 2020, and yeah, we were supposed to open the end of May. We didn't open until the end of November, and it just was agonizing and awful for all the trainers. And COVID pandemic was sort of still happening. There were a lot of outdoor stuff going on in Zoom, but actually looking back on it, it allowed us to build the hype in the town. Those extra months, people are like waiting and waiting and waiting for it. And then the doors open, and we were just so fortunate and blessed that people started pouring in month one.
And this was, just so the people listening understand, your old gym and Ethos, they were pretty far apart, right? It wasn't like a natural transition from one to the other.
No. So Exemplar, we pushed through the pandemic. So 2020, we made it through there. We lost members, but we were still breaking even. So that was 2020. But what was coming up was our lease was ending in that shopping center February of 21. Before that happened, so like in the summer of 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, is when sort of my partner and I parted ways, like mentally. We're like, hey, when the lease comes up, we're not renewing it. So I started looking for buildings in 2020. And then on my own in 2020, Halloween exactly of pandemic year, I signed the lease for the current space for Ethos. And then end of the year, beginning of the year, Exemplar ended. So we found a temporary space because our trainers and our members that wanted to come over with us needed a place to train while the build out was going on. And we found this it was great location in the middle of downtown Charleston, but it used to be a tech company. The ceilings were 10 feet, carpet on the floor, and we brought treadmills in there. We brought dumbbells. There was zero air conditioning. And I was like, oh, that's going to be fine because it's December, January, February, March. We'll be in Ethos in May. And lo and behold, we keep getting delayed. And we're teaching classes there in the middle of July and August. And it was 88 degrees in the space with carpet, and just, it used to be a tech company. I don't know how else to explain it. And we turned it into a temporary gym.
And so, yeah, so it looks like it's about a 13-minute drive from Exemplar to where Ethos is now. So when you opened up the doors, how many people followed you?
It was roughly 275 members. Yeah, about 275. And the day we had pre-sales going on, so 275 came from the old gym. And then by the time we opened the doors with pre-sales, we had a total of like 600, maybe like 650 when those doors opened.
And what was break even for, it looks like it's expensive here.
Like I said, this is what made me pull the trigger so much, was that rent per square foot was so low. It was $15, $16 square foot. Break even was around the member number, I remember, was about 700, 725.
So you opened pretty close to around there, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, so blessed, so fortunate. I've never heard. I'm sure there has been gyms and businesses that have done this. It's just that by the end of month one, we were breaking even. We were over 700 members.
There are, but definitely not coming out of COVID. Not a lot of people who are building out a space that started Halloween 2020 that use the word blessed when we talk to them. So, I guess there's something there.
Well, I mean,
so where are you today?
Yeah.
I know you've talked about your members, like member numbers fairly publicly. Like, how are you guys doing now?
The numbers will peak. Like, I think we were at like 1,500 by the end of February this past year. And then, of course, it decreases a little in March, April, and June. So we're probably sitting around like 400 right now, 1,400, I mean. And it's slowly increasing again now that summer's over. So somewhere in that 1,400 number.
And so was it like, those numbers are huge. You put on another 700 members in that time. It's not a $70 price point like most other like an Access gym would be. It's definitely like more towards a higher end training gym. And so you're saying you do no marketing. Is this just like if you build it, they will come, or are you just incredible customer service? Like what's working here? What is somebody listening to this podcast? What are they stealing from you that you're doing right? And then you got 1,400 members paying you over $200 a month.
As much as I love baseball, I tell people all the time, that does not work in business. If you build it, they will not come. You got to let them know about it. And of course we push and we're crushing social media, but we just don't pay for ads. We take advantage of Charleston and the hometown people talking and things like that. But, business wise, if I could give any advice to any gym or studio owner, is I think a lot of people in the gym world forget that it's a hospitality business. We're just like a restaurant. We're just like a hotel. And we're so focused on providing the most awesome class or the coolest equipment and blah, blah, blah. And I tell my team all the time, you know, a 25-pound dumbbell at Ethos is the same damn 25 dumbbell at Gold's Gym. I said, the only thing that's going to separate us is customer service, cleanliness, and culture. And those are our 3 C's that we stand by. And it just, you don't realize, like, to this day, I go to Starbucks and they go, here, Joey, here's your black coffee. And I'm like, you know my name? And yeah, it's printed on the label, but still they're saying my name. And it's amazing to me how many times I walk into a gym, people don't even look up at me at the front desk. They don't say anything to me. And the most important people, in my opinion, at a gym is your hospitality team, your front desk team. Because if you think about it, it's the first person the customer sees, but more importantly, it's the last person they see. And if you leave and they go, John, Mateo, hope you guys have a great day. Like just that simple thing. Or like, John, I hope your wife or your daughter does great at soccer this weekend. Like those little things, that's how you win people over. And that's how you have long-lasting customers, in my opinion. I don't know. I could be wrong with this whole thing.
I mean, let's dig into that, because when we asked Dane's been to your facility. He said you were kind enough to host him, and he said, like when I asked him, hey, what do I talk to this guy about? He said this guy's front desk staff is absolutely dialed in, and so how you hire these people, how do you train these people? And then you also said there's kind of a path for them to get on the floor coaching if that's one of their aspirations. So walk us through the magic of the Ethos front desk, what you picked up 20 years of grinding along in the fitness industry.
Because coaches have to work it too, right?
So we have, that is a cool thing we've implemented the last 2 years now, is any trainer, whether you've trained for 20 years or this is your first time, you just got certified in your training, we have to get you to work the front desk. And the reason we want that is, number one, you get to know the team really well. Number two, you get to know the members, but also they have to learn like the grunt work of what the hospitality team does. Like we have so many members using towels and breaking equipment and getting the bathrooms dirty and things like that. That hospitality team is on it, and they're the ones making the gym look tidy. So that's big for us with the trainers. It also is like that humbling thing. There's been trainers in town that wanted to work for us, but they couldn't get like, hey, I don't have time to work 8 weeks for a few hours a week behind the desk. And we've been, as much as I wanted them as trainers and having their members come, you had to do it. You have to go back to being, it's like Hell Week at the Citadel, like where I came from. But regarding just the hospitality team and hiring, I've got some awesome leadership. I've got some awesome managers, generals, as I would call them. And we're lucky. We get inquiries all the time about working at the gym. It's a lot of kids that are starting college to about 25 years old. So like 18 to 25, and they're looking for a little side hustle. They want to work at a cool gym and get a free gym membership. And we pay pretty well. We're playing like in that $16 to $20 range, depending how long or how many months they're working. It's a cool gig for them. It's a cool environment. So we're lucky, but also our main thing when it comes to hiring is just personality. There's nothing fancy behind it. It's personality and being able to work with a team. We can teach you how to scrub a floor. I can teach a trainer how to put together a workout. I just can't teach what your mom and dad gave you. Can you smile and not look like a mean person? And can you say hello? Can you have communication? So that's a big thing that we look for in interviews. It's just how well you can speak to us and other people, and how well can you be as a teammate.
So then I guess when it comes to hospitality, it sounds like you're getting leads from just word of mouth. This is a known kind of establishment now in Charleston, and you are pumping out a lot of stuff on social media. You have your newsletter. So once a lead does come in, how does that person go from becoming a lead to becoming a member? What's that experience like?
Dude, it's just Charleston. whatever is going on in that city, everybody in there is just young and hot, and every gym has over 1,000 members. Like, I don't know I've never been to Charleston, but we got to go apparently, because every gym owner we've talked to from there is absolutely crushing it, has no problem hiring. Like, it just seems like the promised land for gyms. What's in the water over there?
I was literally just there, so I wish I'd dropped in, but yeah, I guess, yeah. So, is it the Southern hospitality that is getting people to buy after they become elite? Is that all it is, or what's the secret there? What's the process for becoming a member?
I think you get that a little bit of Los Angeles, a little bit of Miami vibe here in Charleston. Like, everybody wants to be in shape. It's a much smaller city, but it's all. I always joke with my class and my clients, like, we're always doing bicep curls because it's always beach season in Charleston. And, I think there's that glamour aspect to it, and everybody wants to be in a cool facility and work out. And also, I think the times are changing a lot of where people are visiting and spending money at gyms to like meet people. And it's the social aspect to it. And I've seen it personally. Like, I remember 10 years ago, like, you go to a gym between 1 and 4 o'clock, there's nobody there. Now, with the work-life balance, I mean, we have a huge cafe, and I see people up there they'll be up there working 4 hours in the morning, go work out at lunchtime, and then work for 4 hours at the cafe. So I don't know what exactly is going on in Charleston. I know there's some good studios and gyms here, and people just keep moving here. And the other thing is that people don't really think about is, when it comes to our price point, is a lot of people that are moving here are from big cities. They're moving from New York, Atlanta, San Francisco, and they're used to paying $250, $300 a month for a membership. And so it's not such big sticker shock to some of those people when they come in.
Yeah, I wouldn't blink at your price point. Coming up from New York City. I mean, we have gyms by us here, and like our lifetime buy here is $300 a month. And they got 4,000 members in a wait list. So
yeah, lifetime.
That price point works, especially if you bring the sauce, that's no problem. So is this the cafe here, the Tres Palmas?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're just a little a local smoothie bar, and I got to know the owner, and I said, why don't you guys pay me rent? So they pay me rent, and they run the smoothies and acai bowls and avocado toast, and very simple, make coffee. I just said, hey,
it's
guys.
Just like a fly trap.
Yeah, exactly.
This says, nothing says I pay $300 a month for a gym membership like latte art. That is the avatar right there. And then you add a $20 avocado toast on there. Yeah, that's a big brain move on your part. Yeah, there it is. It's
funny because besides a gym, I always wanted to create a coffee shop. I love coffee shops for some reason. And, but yeah, so we have our cafe is probably 1,500 square feet, not including our outside seating. So it's a big workspace.
I think that's every gym owner's dream. I feel like every gym owner at some point either actually starts one or talks about it. I don't know what it is. There's overlap there.
Yeah, and I think breweries too. I think there's some connection with breweries and gyms too.
Like, I already got a really hard business. Let me start a harder one. That's what I want to do.
Exactly.
Well, they're drugs that the gym owners take to survive gym owner life, right?
What are they? Tell me. I need
Alcohol's a drug. No, alcohol's a drug. Caffeine's a drug. So these are the drugs gym owners consume to survive gym owner life. So then they're like, well, these are the only things that make me happy right now. Mm-hmm. So let me go and just do those things because, that's how drugs work. They make you happy. So that makes sense.
I just had my afternoon coffee.
Is that what you want the people to know from the episode, Teo?
No, not at all. But that's just my take on it. Why everyone opens one eventually from gym owner life. Hey, gym owners, are you looking for a way to generate more leads, close more sales, and increase client retention? Introducing Kilo. We are a software company that gives gym owners the tools they need to increase revenue and run a successful gym. With Kilo, you get a beautifully designed website to capture more leads, an integrated marketing automation platform to increase sales, and our gym management software so you can add new client memberships, process payments, and organize your class schedule. If you're ready to upgrade your gym management software, book a call at usekilo.com.
So yeah, to go back, is the sales does everyone just buy on the website, or do you actually have like a consultative process? Someone come in and do a tour?
That was my question before, but yeah, no
I know
one.
Teo wants the answer.
That was my
Teo
question.
wants to know.
I'm trying to give you, if I knew a percentage or how many, I don't think too many buy online. I don't know. I would maybe 20%, 30% would buy online, but mostly come inside and check out the facility, and our team gives them a nice tour. And that's usually, I would say that's 80, 90% of how we get memberships.
But what's involved with the tour, right? How do we
just like look at the gym, look at the hot people, look at the avocado toast? You want in or what? You want in? Where else are you going to
go? Yeah, it's pretty simple. This hospitality team, they'll give them a tour around the gym, everything from the locker rooms to the yoga room to we have physical therapy as well. It's just when you walk into the space, it fools everybody when they walk in because the front door, it's pretty narrow and it looks narrow. But when you walk in and walk through the tunnel after the cafe and then you open the doors to the gym, I mean, it's almost a 50-yard turf track. It's 48 yards. And then the arching ceilings with the wood, when we built it out, we uplit them. So it made it even more beautiful. And it's just it's a cool place to work out. And that's always been my goal. I go, working out is hard enough with motivation. It's like the last thing you want to do is work out in some place that doesn't have any energy, that isn't clean. And it's like, you want to go to a gym that you want to work out at and it's fun to be at. And when you add a little community to that and you keep the place up and you keep investing in it, it's not that complicated in my mind. So,
well, then how do you cultivate community when it's, 1,400 members? How are you doing your, hey, congrats on your first 30 days text messages when you got, 1,400 people to deal with?
Also, can we talk about how he's downplaying this, how insanely difficult this may be, but he's making it sound just so easy?
That's why I keep trying to reiterate the same question.
He's really sandbagging it.
Answer.
If you're someone who went to Ethos and is listening to this and is going to go start a competitor because it sounds so easy, let us tell you as former gym owners, he's sandbagging it. It's hard as shit. So sorry, Teo, go ahead. We just need to put that warning there. Yeah.
Well, hold on. One, it is difficult, but Mateo, ask the question again. I forgot what he said because I was laughing.
My question was, you said, people just walk in, the space is beautiful and the community is great. So I was like, all right, maybe we can try this angle instead. How do you cultivate that community, right? Because it does seem like it is vibrant. You've got so many events going on, it looks like, in the space as well. So, how do you cultivate community when you have for thousands of people to deal with and to communicate with?
You're 100% right. And every week we are trying to figure out ways to communicate with the members. Yeah, we have a newsletter. We try and do our best on social media to give them updates and showcase everybody. The texting like, hey, you hit your 100th class or something like that. It is very difficult with that many members. I can't even imagine it with 500 members. And to me, I've always said this, the heartbeat of the gym at my old gym in Ethos, in my opinion, is this rush class, this high intensity class, because that's where everybody's like together and they're bonding, they're sweating together, they get to know each other. I'm always in the 5 a.m. Wednesday class, like that type of thing. And then that sort of spreads. And a big thing is just, I can't overstate the simplicity of just a smile on your face from the hospitality team and customer service. It's just, I challenge my trainers. I sit there and go, I guarantee you, I know more of your clients' names than you know of mine. And so it's like, Mateo, John, you guys walk into the gym and the hospitality team says, Catherine at the front goes, hey, Mateo, how you doing? How's your day going? You walk back. And then Dino sees you and he's a trainer and he's like, hey, Mateo, what's up? Like, if you keep hearing your name from multiple different people, it's just like, wow, this is besides home and work, this is where I want to be. And I wish I had an exact answer for you guys when it comes to culture, but it's just like our ultimate goal is to make your day better when you walk into our facility. And if you walk in at this, we want you to leave at this mood. And whether you went and did a cold plunge, whether you took a yoga class, it's just getting that out there. And then I think there is some kind of weird thing in this world. Like you put that energy out there, you're going to get that energy back. And a thing that it's been very hard for me is like, I want everybody in Charleston to use Ethos, but one of my trainers put it best. He goes, not everybody's for this gym, and this gym isn't for everybody. And I've sit with that for a while, and I believe it. It's not everybody's cup of tea, and it doesn't have to be. And I want people to go over to Core 4. I want people to go to Orange Theory. Like, I just want people to work out, go for a walk. I don't care. I don't know. I wish I had a magic answer for you guys, but we just impress hospitality and customer service.
So it's just vibes. Is the moral of the story there?
Vibes. I think there is
vibes and knowing people's
There's something
name.
about putting it out there and it comes back to you. Don't have an exact answer for it, but that's what we keep doing, and the numbers keep going up, and the numbers go up even when we increase the price. And it's just, I sometimes walk out of there blown away too. But yes, to go back to what John was saying, I don't mean to overplay it. It is a lot more difficult than it seems. So
here's the formula right here, Teo. Community times vibes.
Yep.
There it is.
The community times vibes. So you talk about crushing it on social, very curated feed. Like, it looks like a lot of thought goes into this stuff. Is this someone on staff for you? Who's doing all this?
Oh, she's relentless. Her name's Heidi Bradley, and she was a member at my old gym, Exemplar. And about a year before we closed Exemplar, she was like, you need some social media help. Because back then it was just me sitting on the toilet making a post for that day. And it just, because it got so exhausting. And I'm like, yeah, take it. I don't care. This is my vision. I love this gym. I love this business. Can you make it sort of look like that vibe? And so she was with me since Exemplar. She started as a member. And she's also, back then, she was a professor for writing for college. And so she does all the writing with it too. But then also we've got to know so many photographers, and we just try and make it look as professional as possible. But she is relentless. If you saw her calendar and how much she has mapped out for the like who's going to be on the post tomorrow to 3 months from now, she knows it. She's phenomenal at her job.
I guess we'll just have to have her on the show then.
Yeah,
Heidi's
coming on next. We're going to figure out the secrets.
Well, so speaking of staff, your team is pretty large, right? You've got how many people do you have on staff? How is the structure? Who's responsible for what? Walk us through that.
So we have about 70, 75 people now on the team. There's about 20 of those are personal trainers. Some of them are absolute veterans that I've been working with for almost 10 years. And then we have my director of operations. She's Catherine. I call her our Mother Goose. She is like no BS. She's a fun person. But like when someone needs to have some words, she's the one having that conversation. She keeps us all in line. Under her would be what we call our general managers, Katie Porcher. And both of these two started with me at Exemplar. Katie's a unique one. She was a 24-year-old girl who like moved from Annapolis to come work at Exemplar, which was just this like little 6,000 square foot gym. I was like, I don't know if you want to move your life for this. And she has turned into be one of the most stoic leaders I've ever met. And she is in charge of the hospitality team. She does all the scheduling. She knows everything that's going on with the gym. And then under that, a super important role that has come about, I didn't even know it, is Chad Reese. And he's a trainer, but he's become now like 80% of his time is he's our facilities manager. And I mean, anything that is broken, he is on it. And I mean, we have more assault bikes and treadmills, and I mean, it's a 21,000 square foot facility. The dude, we have lucked up finding him, but we found him because he worked at F45, and I just heard so many different people around town talk so many good things to him. We found him right right before we opened. And I was like, dude, you seem like a great guy. You seem he cried. He's going to get embarrassed when I say this, but he cried in our interview because he was crying because he was so passionate. He worked at F45 and he wanted to come work for us, but he was so sad to leave his members at F45. He started crying in the interview. I was like, well, at least you have passion for the people. But his job is insane. He's the handyman around the gym. He's calling Techno Gym. He's calling Assault, whoever, like Concept 2, if something's breaking. And if he can't even fix it, which he usually can fix it. And he sort of built his own little team with under that. And then there's Heidi, who does all of our branding.
At the point where there's a facilities team. You got to, It's like the facility leader at this point. Wow. I'm looking at your class schedule here. Mm-hmm. You got a lot. So pulling up this one, you're like, this is like 26 classes in one day. And then if we go to the actual like offering, so it's like a Pilates class. This looks like a weightlifting one, run club. These are variations of Rush. So you have Rush 30, Rush 60, mind work. This is your contrast therapy, yoga. How do you balance all this? And then how do you
that's not even the deep end. The deep end's another website.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you come up with these? How do you hire for this? Like, this is like for context, a good strength coach is different than a good yoga coach, different than a good Pilates coach, is different than a good contrast coach. How do you have your tentacles in all of these different communities and get these things filled up?
It's tough. I've always said this though. It's like, I started in this business. Well, first I started mopping floors, but what I learned was the trainer is the golden ticket. Like if you have a trainer, a personal trainer that is a phenomenal trainer, I don't care if you're working at Ethos or Gold's Gym or Equinox, those 20 clients of that trainer are going to follow that trainer no matter where he goes or she goes. And it goes the same with a group instructor as well. The best group instructors, you just give them 20 broomsticks and they'll fill that room. They don't need dumbbells, anything. And so, it's tough finding the great yoga instructors because there's so many yoga studios and the high intensity instructors. And we have a pretty good interview process for that, but I don't have a secret sauce for that. It comes to that personality thing again. I can teach somebody how to teach a class. I just can't teach you how loud you are and how you present yourself and do you own that classroom, that type of thing. But yeah, it's all about finding great instructors, finding great trainers. But also I think a lot of people get stingy and they don't pay them. It's like any business. It's whether you're an accounting firm, Ernst & Young, whatever it is. It's like when you have somebody that's talented and great, pay them. It'll come back to you. And I think a lot of owners of a lot of businesses, not just gyms and studios, don't understand that. They get greedy. And it's like, I know I would rather be able to sleep at night getting paid a little bit less, knowing that Bob or Susie is dominating that class. So I don't have a magic answer for that. This is just my philosophy when it comes to hiring and finding those people to take care of those classes.
I'm sure having the hot gym, you get pitched all the time. Hey, what would be really awesome is if we had a something class. Like, is the way you're taking on new offerings is you come up with the offering, then find the perfect person for it, or these people pitch you and you're like, yeah, we'll try that out. Like, how do you go about offering, putting something on the schedule here? Because it looks like there's a ton of.
Like, just a perfect example is happening right now. So we have 3 new classes on top of all those things that you listed already that are starting. And one of them is called Edge. And Edge is, we tested it like the last 2 years, but we reformulated it to where people can it's a small class. It can only hold 8 people and is a pure weightlifting class, like strength and conditioning. And we have a little space in the gym that has these, I think, 4 rogue racks. And it's just going to be a super cool, basic foundational strength and conditioning class with one, like a main lift and then a little complex circuit. But anyway, the trainer came to me more about it than I came to thinking of the class idea. So to answer your question, it's more about like I can't do run club because I don't run that much. I run like once or twice a week when my knees are going to get out. So it's like more finding, okay, I have a great coach. She used to run track at College Charleston, and she's such a sweet person. I'm like, hey, you want to run our run club? And she gets paid more and she makes more money and people love it and they want to go do a run club. And so the yogis, what I call them, our yoga team, they just came out. They want to do this new class called Ignite. And it's basically mobility, yoga, and then a little bit of strength training. So they have dumbbells in there that are like decent size. It's not like 5 and 8 pound dumbbells. They're all like 15 to 30 pounds. And so they're going to do some weightlifting in the class. And their idea behind it was, we have our demographic in that gym is not very yoga based. If people are diehard yoga, they're going to go to a yoga studio. So we have more people that are like gym workout goers that want to learn a little bit more about yoga. So they're trying to get them to like, hey, come do a low dose workout, but you're mixing in yoga. So they came to me with that idea. The last one I'll talk about is Pilates. I kept having girls come up to me, females, and they're like, you got to do a Pilates class. I'm like, whatever. We lucked up and this young lady by Nicole, she from New York. She's about 26 years old. She's Pilates certified. She worked at another studio in town and she came to us. She was like, hey, I want to teach a Pilates class here. And I'm like, well, that's funny because people keep asking for it. Go, let's give it a try. And that freaking class, it's sold out 3 weeks in advance. And she's like the sweetest girl. But then when you get in class, you realize the New York comes out in her. And it's like, okay, she means business. But yeah, that's the only answers I have for that too.
What percentage of your members take classes? Is it mostly people just come in and use the facilities, or is the lion's share of people involved in the class offering as well?
It's kind of funny. It's complete reverse. At Exemplar, it was about 70%, 75% would come to take the class instead of work out in the gym. And then now it's about 65, 70% of people wanting to use the open gym space. And then the other 30, 35% are taking classes.
What's the demo like in there? Obviously, looking at your social media, it looks like a lot of, mid-20s young professional types, but who are you targeting with this space?
I mean, ultimately, I want everybody in there. Like I said earlier,
everyone, I grandma, grandpa, son, grandkids, training athletes.
Yep. We have youth kids. It's insane. Like we have an 8-year-old working out next to 2 NBA players. And then you look over in the corner and there's 5 Navy SEALs working out. And then there's 3 actors from the Righteous Gemstones. But it's just wild. It's wild to see. But anyway, the goal is to get everybody in there. I rearranged the facility when I started it. I was like, I wanted the squat racks here and the turf there. And then I realized I'm like, well, if mom walks in here or grandma and grandpa walk in here and they walk through those doors, the first thing they're going to see is some dude dropping a 400-pound deadlift and some college kid running a 40. They're going to be super intimidated. So I flipped it around and I put the cardio equipment sort of up front, which is less intimidating, seeing the stair climber and elliptical. And yeah, but I would say that demographic is in that I bet our average age is probably around 36, 37. What's wild that I've learned doing this place is we have an older demographic taking classes. The younger demographic's the one working out in the gym. But it makes sense in my mind now that I think about it. Like mom and dad, they just want to come in for the class. They don't have time. That's how Orange Theory has made it so successful. So it's between 25 and 55, I would say. In that range is where we are.
It sounds like finding the right staff person for these classes, for these programs, also for the hospitality team, finding the right person is really important to you. I've heard you say in other interviews like A players, right? You got to hire the A players and to level up everyone around you. I guess my question is, how do you retain everyone? I know you said paying people is important to you. how else are you tying them in and incentivizing them and providing growth opportunities for your top performers to make sure that they don't leave and take all their clients with them?
Great question. One, you can never make somebody ultimately stay as much as I would love them to. But the gym has grown over the last 4 years so well and so much that we're able to keep giving raises, obviously. And then we're also finding these like roles, and you're seeing these. It's so fun watching these young kids, is what I call them. But they're all like 22 to 25, and you can see them like, oh, I was making $16 an hour just being. Now I want to be a team lead, which is a team lead is almost like an assistant manager is what we call it. And now you're getting paid $21 or something like that. And it's like, okay, well, we're opening another facility in Mount Pleasant in a year or so. And it's like, with that, we're going to need 2 general managers, or we're going to need 4 general managers. And it's like, if you give them, like, you're putting the carrot in front of the horse to the ones that you really see potential in. And they're all, they're like I said, 21 to 25. And they're like, well, this is kind of a cool career, kind of a cool environment. And I think a big thing that you got to preach to them is the coolest thing about this job, whether you want to own a gym or not. And that's the other thing, is like a lot of them don't even work out, like the hospitality team. They do, but they're not like bros, and they're not big gym rats, girls. I just tell them, I'm like, hey, there's so much networking and that you can learn and opportunity here. You never know. I mean, all these members are pretty wealthy, successful people. They're doctors or attorneys that own this business and that business. It's like, you never know what the next conversation leads to. So and we just try and make it a fun, cool team environment, place to work. And we going into that culture, it's like, you will never create a culture in a studio or a gym if the team doesn't have great culture. They're the ones that spread that energy, that ripple effect.
So you got all the members, you got this big staff, teams in place. Gym seems to be running itself pretty well. You're creating a little content yourself. You mentioned a second location. Like what's the grand plan here? What are you building?
That's an awesome question that I've never been able to. I feel bad that I can never. Everybody's like, oh, I want to build 50 gyms, or I want to create a franchise. We had an opportunity. We were very close to pulling a trigger in Charlotte to do another location. The landlord was literally like at the point of handing us $1 million for upfit. And we still said no. But I've always wanted to grow the brand. And the thing that I learned about the pandemic was the power of the internet and watching Peloton do what they did. And I don't want to be Peloton, but like, there's so much you can grab out there with newsletters, with Substack, with creating maybe a little bit like Peloton, like you create your own app. That's a way you can reach more people, because I can only fit so many people in the walls of Ethos, and I can only raise the membership so much. So growing the brand's number one, but also in my mind, I was like, I don't want to be on my deathbed saying, I wish I would have tried another location. So we're going to give another location a try. I've been very fortunate. Because of the success, I was able to get a loan and purchase land about 20 minutes from where we are in another town over. It's called Mount Pleasant. It's literally right over a bridge. And so we own the land, and we're going to build the gym from the ground up. We've owned the land now for about six months, I guess. And we're just going through all the permitting processes of building the gym. And zero rush. We're just trying to get it right. And we have a home base right now, right where we are. And so we want to do it right. It'll probably they say it will take 12 months, which tells me it'll take 16 to 18 months probably to build out. So yeah, we're going to do gym number 2. And then we have some cool online stuff going on. And if gym number 2 is a success and we can see that we can replicate this thing, then maybe we go to a bigger city. I don't know. I don't really have any plans of franchising. There's something to me about nothing wrong with that. I think that's great for some people. I want to keep it where we own it, majority of it, and watching this younger team sort of get more and more percentage of ownership and growing this into, I want something my kids have a place to go to the gym and maybe potentially work out one day, something like that.
Beautiful. It's the dream.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm jealous. I want to go start one right now.
Y'all need to come up here.
Oh, that's far away.
Yeah, we'll
go. My space is a 1 mile bubble around my house. And I was telling Teo, just be nice to have something like this around here. So yeah, where do people go if they want to follow along the journey, learn a little bit more about you?
It's just Joey Welling at Instagram. I think I still have a Facebook. I just don't have a Facebook app, so I'm never really on it. And then Ethos is ethos_AC. Yeah, it's pretty simple like that. I don't have Twitter, but maybe I should get it. I don't know, or X, whatever it's called now.
It's a great place if you want just anxiety and rage. So
I'm planning to.
My goal is to get more of that in your life. Hey, getting off social. That sounds just as nice as having a second gym. Both those things, admirable goals.
I think that's my ultimate goal. That's when I know I've made it. I don't have to be on social media to promote the business. I think that is a pretty good sign of it.
Well, on that note, because we can't hear anyone anymore because it keeps cutting in and out. Gym World, if you like this episode, give us a like. Tell us about it. You can find us at you don't even have to find us. Just go to usekilo.com. You can find us there if you want. Just go there instead. And if you want to hear more about cool gyms in anywhere in the world, in the gym world, let us know in the comments of this video. John, anything else to say to our dear listeners before we sign off?
I'm just glad you're back. Feels so natural. Having a co-pilot. Missed you.
Yeah. Thanks. Happy to be back.
All right. Until next week, Gym World. Joey, thanks so much for making the time to do this, man.
Thank you guys for the opportunity. So nice meeting you.